Thank you. So how do you sell the feeling of the cloud? Who wants to answer that one? Everyone. It's about what's your biggest challenge right now when you're selling the cloud?
I don't mind going first, and I accept every single point in terms of sell the sizzle, not the protein. It's just that people eat steak today. I'd like to chew on it a little bit, and I think the biggest challenge in terms, I think, of marketing in the cloud actually is that it is a transition. It is and unfortunately, we do sell to IT folks because they're the people who buy IT, and they've done it for the last 30 years. IT is a very new industry in real terms, and I think part of that is going to be the transition in their minds that they make from having to do it themselves to having someone do it for them. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter how good you are at marketing, is a bunch of IT people aren't going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, it's the cloud, I don't care. I don't care where it is, who runs it, what it's made of, because they've done it forever, and they've done it, and they're trying to unpin their minds in that journey. And I think it is happening. I think we are seeing customers. We've also got to define what the cloud is for a start. So internal cloud data center 3.0 isn't Salesforce.com. I think that's part of the trouble with cloud. It means so many different things. That it's defining what you've got, it's clarity, and it is actually taking people on the journey because they see it as a journey. They're not just going to switch and go. Cloud isn't a switch; it's a dimmer switch. Yeah, and they'll gradually turn off. They'll turn down what they do, and they'll turn up using external providers. And I think it's getting that message and being clear. And finally, biggest challenge is your own salespeople. Yeah.
Scott mentioned that a little bit. In the previous,
our own salespeople and your own salespeople as well. Yeah. Cisco sales guys, the first thing you see when you talk about cloud is they say, well, what does the kit list look like? And you say, well, actually, it's a service. And they say, yeah, but what does the kit list look like? Well, actually, it's a service. Right. So what's the kit list? Yeah. So I think there's a Japanese saying, if you ask why 5 times, you'll get to the meaning of everything. Well, Cisco sales guys like to ask what the kit list looks like 5 times on the assumption there will be a kit list. So we've all got to make that journey, that change as well.
Is that why the button was so popular?
Love the button.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, listening to the three of you, I realized a few things. I realized that our company isn't the same size as you guys, so we don't have the same realities or challenges, and very different. The only thing I'd like to add that maybe I should have said when I presented is this whole notion, I don't sell equipment anymore. Period. I never have discussions about hardware. I never have discussion about, where is this sitting? How are you, where's your location? Can I see your data center? Can I see the cloud? All of our infrastructure is sitting in co-location facilities. It takes me a week just to get permission to get in there to show them. So to show them a rack or anything else, I never have those discussions. And I think the cloud is what we've been doing, for 10, 15 years. It's a network. And at the end of the day, whether or not that data center app or that infrastructure is sitting in an environment that I'm managing and operating for the end client, or they're doing it themselves, more and more I see the cloud as just being able to access whatever tool and information and be able to operate your business. And I agree with you 100%. It's not about selling hardware anymore. It's not about selling a router. And I agree with everything. UCS, what does it mean? At the end of the day, the clients want service X. Deliver service X, and he'll buy it. Don't try and sell him something else. Anyway, that's my opinion. But we're 100% virtual. Our business is 100% virtual. I can take my business and move it here tomorrow. My guys can work from anywhere. My clients can access whatever they need from anywhere. And what we're offering them is that connection into that cloud, into their environment. Some clients host servers in their infrastructure. Most of them don't. It's sitting off with other partners. It's being done by other people. And that, to me, is the cloud. The cloud is it's the internet. It's just a big network. And being able to get to your information, to your applications, and to your tools.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've got to say, though, I'm sure there are a few people sitting in their Qantas flatbed seat, drinking their champagne, looking out the window at those engines and thinking, God, I hope one of those doesn't blow up on the way over the pond. So, I think fundamentally, it does. I think a lot of this depends what you mean by cloud. If I was marketing Hotmail, very different. If I was selling an iPad and an app on an iPad, very different than going in and talking to an IT director who spent several £100 million running and building data centers for the last 20 years and say, well, actually, you don't care about that anymore. And I think people will stop caring. I think part of the trick, part of the marketing challenge at the moment is they still do care. We sell managed VPNs and they don't ask what router it is anymore. But actually, they never got that excited about what router it was anyway. The other thing I would say as well is we're not marketing against Salesforce.com, and we're not marketing against Hotmail. We're marketing against HP and IBM and Sun and Oracle. And I think the mindset. There's lots of different views going into customers at the moment, and I think getting that message right is really tricky at the moment. If you're talking about cloud as an infrastructure for a data center, I think it is very different than a cloud as an application today. I mean, to be honest, it may not be glamorous and it may not be sexy, but it's fact. There's lots of people living in the old world. Lots of people. So.
Go ahead, Peter.
No, I just wanted to comment on how do you sell. For example, just give you a simple example that now we wanted to track our sales, obviously, like lots of you do, and we also wanted to track the effort that goes into closing a sale. So we went to a small company and we said, build this for us with Microsoft SharePoint, and they built it. And before we could even think of hosting, they said, oh, by the way, we can also, host this for you. $81 a month for 10 users. And I said, where in South India, in Hyderabad, not even in Sri Lanka. I said, done. So I didn't bother whether it's a cloud or, I checked out the SLAs. I just checked the security briefly, but it was done. So I didn't have to have a long discussion. I didn't have to visit him. I didn't have to go to the data center. So this is going to disrupt Microsoft a lot, Luanne, because a lot of the customers are saying, we don't want enterprise agreements. The whole big enterprise agreement, right? They're saying, we don't want it. Just put it, go to a service provider. In Sri Lanka, the customers are demanding. And Microsoft didn't want to introduce it to a country like Sri Lanka. Their online offering, the BPOS offering, for those who are familiar with Microsoft. Now their Office 365, they have to give it to the customer. He says, I don't want anything but outside my premise, rental, that's it. So, they're beginning to sell the field, the solution, the cloud, indirectly.
Do we have questions from the audience, since this is a fairly intimate session? Yes, right behind you, Rob. There's a gentleman.
Well, my question is somehow related to the question regarding challenges and the statement that was made in terms of defining a cloud and whether it's a cloud as an infrastructure or cloud as an application. My question is in terms of going vertical. Is the industry mature enough, the cloud as an application, not as an infrastructure, mature enough to now start looking for us to start finding that there are vertical providers towards vertical industries? Or because it is a cloud and it's a vast cloud, or the internet as it was said, we're not there yet, or maybe we shouldn't even be thinking about that. For example, you mentioned VPN. VPN is a very bland product. You can verticalize it from a marketing standpoint. You can make a marketing spin and offer it to certain verticals, but at the end of the day, it's still a very raw VPN. Is the cloud as an application going to continue to be very raw, hence offered to everybody the same, or are we going to be seeing more verticalization in that respect?
I'm happy to start. Sorry. So the really good answer would be no. It's just the same for everybody, and it would be very easy. And it's the application of it that verticalizes it. And I think that is quite true. I think there are some in the UK. We're seeing some specific vertical differences, though. I think between clearly government and commercial. And actually, even within government, we see multiple different vertical. Now, is the underlying infrastructure the same? Yes. Is the service the same? Yes. Is it run the same? Yes. But are there specific use cases, I think, that are verticalized? I think there are, and I think things like government cloud, I think shared services is a big agenda in the UK. I'm sure it is around the rest of the world, because all our governments on the western side of the world have run out of money. But I think it is. My gut instinct is it's sort of marketing still. I'm not sure that it's any different, apart from different levels of security, different kinds of use cases for the infrastructure between the two. I mean, I don't know what the...
I think in general, if you just look at previous history around technologies, I think those applications that are more verticalized are more successful. So I think if you extrapolate it out where cloud is going, I think you'll end up seeing that there will be foundational platforms that are going to be more suited to certain verticals. Certainly a part of our business is with the federal government, and there are some emerging providers that are creating an infrastructure that meets the government standards and security standards and so forth. So I think the future definitely is a vertical.
As a follow-up and to tie it into the clarity that we were reminded of this morning, would you then think that as far as the marketplace is concerned, there will be across-the-board players, let's say cloud providers, and then maybe niche providers that are more clear on their product that is vertical?
I agree with verticals. I mean, my business is very vertically focused. Again, not the same size as everybody here, but by focusing on a particular vertical in a particular market space, you're able to really understand that and deliver a service that actually responds to what that market needs. I'm trying to find as good an analogy as you've come up with, but I mean, would you buy a car from a dishwashing company, right? A dishwasher company. At the end of the day, that notion of selling a service or a solution, I think you need to focus, and I think you need to establish that vertical. You can have multiple verticals.
I was going to say, well, I think a great example of cloud, though, and I think I don't mean to, in terms of our businesses, we connected our data center to the UK Joint Academic Network, which is called Janet, last Tuesday. So it went live on this big network last Tuesday. We had a customer phone in on the Wednesday to say, we're thinking of, there's a product called Moodle, which is a sort of an open source learning platform for universities. We're looking for a hosted Moodle solution. It was on our cloud 2 hours later. Now, we haven't delivered the service yet, but the point is they could see it working. They could see open source hosted learning platform on a cloud, on their network, literally within 24 hours. That for us is, we sat there and said, that's a big market opportunity. So I think it is about verticalization, but it's the speed, going back to your point, which I agree, the speed of change is unbelievable. The fact that we can have a new business proposition literally live within 24 hours of a customer asking for it is scary, to be honest. And we're probably winding back now to see whether we really want to do it. But the point is, we could do it. So.
I'll give you a specific answer on the point of industry verticals. Banks today are increasingly, at least in Sri Lanka, they're saying we don't want to all run our own switch, ATM switch application. So they're putting that in a data center, and it could well come off a cloud in a virtual environment. That's a very key application. A lot of money was spent by each of the banks to build their ATM switch network. So that's moving. Even their payment gateways, they're saying, why should each of us have our own payment gateway? So we go to the payment gateway, because it's happening in Sri Lanka today. The payment gateway vendor is saying, why do you want to spend all this money, each of you? Let me provide this as a managed service. They're happy to do that. So, merchant card acquisitions, credit card companies, I mean, if you can trust your credit card transaction, you wouldn't think twice about swiping your credit card, right? What's the big deal? So I'm saying customers are demanding. Sometimes we are a little slow to adopt, but the adoption will come. And if you take a company like SAP, they are doing some remarkable work in virtualization. You must watch that space. I know Cisco is doing some pretty smart work. I had a little conversation with Wendy Bao at the CCAB in Hanoi a month ago. It was amazing what they're thinking of building with SAP. The kind of appliance they're trying to build, that's where Cisco is going. That's where SAP is going. So this is going to happen a lot faster than some of us think it will. And it'll catch us by surprise, and it'll drive a lot of us out of business. And that's what I'm worried about.